In part 3 of our prescribed fire series, we're talking about the most important part of a prescribed fire, and that is safety.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.
When it comes time to do a controlled burn, I think we can all agree the most important part of a controlled burn is safety.
Yeah, it's I tell you, it's one of those things too, when you see other YouTube videos and stuff about burning, and they kind of just downplay the safety aspect of it, especially the clothing and what have you.
Yeah.
You know, the Nomex shirt, that's what we're wearing. The green pants, which is Nomex, it's all fire resistant, you know. Leather boots, gloves, and then even these silly helmets, right?
Right.
Like, do you need a helmet when you're doing a switchgrass burn? Is there like a tree gonna fall down on you?
Right.
Probably not. But here's the thing, when things go awry, so let's talk about the helmet aspect of it. When things go awry and there's a bunch of you working on a prescribed fire, and the fire department has to be called, and everybody has a red or a yellow helmet, and it's visible.
Visibility.
Also, when you have somebody like with a red or a different color than everybody else, you kind of know who's in charge.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be silly, but if things go awry, it's not necessarily for you, but it's for other people.
Absolutely.
When it comes to that. But all that stuff, and I always talk about, you know, is this necessary? Because this stuff can be very expensive.
Sure. Okay,
you go into forestry supply, etc. It can cost a lot of money.
Right.
But I always talk about, like, hey, do you need a pair of chaps to run a chainsaw? Technically, no. Is it wise? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need it until you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing with all of this equipment and PPE and safety gear that we're going to go over. You know, it's just all about being prepared, giving you peace of mind so that when you do start the fire, you do a controlled burn, you're prepared, you have peace of mind, you're safe, and hopefully you don't have to use it. You know what I mean? Hopefully you don't need this old get up, but if and when the time comes, you're prepared.
Yeah, and it's you know, if this thing's on your person, you know, you should have some water, because this stuff, I tell you, when you do a burn, no matter how big it is, it dehydrates you.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta, after you're burning maybe a 10-acre, 20-acre chunk, and then you're moving on, you get weak, you know, you lose your mental, you know.
Oh, you get,
you got to stay dehydrated.
Hydration,
you know?
is number one. Always be intaking fluids, and you don't really realize it, especially this time of year, because generally it's pretty cool. Right? I mean, being around a fire, obviously, it can get warm and hot and smoky, but you're, you know, hydrated. You don't necessarily feel thirsty, but the next day you can wake up with pretty powerful.
You get one heck of a headache.
Dehydration headache, for sure. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, for sure.
So always be Gatorades, water, have that on hand for sure.
Yeah, and then something else that we're wearing. Like, again, is a lot of this necessary? Yes, no. Can you put this stuff in your pocket? Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's one of those things, hey, I'll buy it. So, you know, and also, you know, one thing too, especially on those little bit larger fires, especially when the fire starts, you know, you get that encircling ring fire, and you can't hear across. You know, you can, what's sign, hey, it's, you know, what's all this hand signal stuff, you know, but radios, and most importantly, charged radios.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on the same channel.
On the same channel.
Right.
That is not accidentally turned off.
Right.
And also we still have our cell phone on our person.
Right.
You know, just because we have these, this is for the obvious. If something goes wrong, someone gets hurt on the line, got to call the fire department, etc.
Absolutely.
You know, and
communication is a big part.
Oh, it's huge.
Especially like you said, when you get separated or you got multiple people on the line, everybody knows what's going on. You really can't over communicate with these radios. Everybody's got a radio. Everybody knows what the fire's doing.
Yep.
And that way, again, it gives you peace of mind. So if Eric and I are on a fire together and we can't see each other, we can communicate, talking back and forth on the radio. He knows I'm good and safe. I know he's good and safe. And then we can just let the fire do its thing.
Yeah, again, just to echo that, communication. You can't be on those things enough, especially when you lose sight of one another.
Yeah.
Again, that is, because, and also too, especially with people that are inexperienced on the fire line, you can tell them, hey, move a little, go ahead and move a little bit more.
Right.
Move a little bit more. You know, it's just constant communication. You can't have enough of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then depending on what you're burning and stuff, there's obviously a lot of smoke with fire. You know, Cody's got a bandana on. There's many things that you can buy that can put over your your face. There's goggles for your eyes, and that is, you consume quite a bit of smoke when you're doing this stuff, or you can at least.
Yeah.
And having any type of prevention is key. But we talked about gloves, we talked about boots, we talked about the helmets, but that's basically the ensemble, you know, safety-wise that you can do. Do you need all this?
You don't need it, but
you don't need
is
it.
nice to
but
have.
it's nice to have.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about safety and stuff.
And you're never too cool for PPE.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
And then you got the tools of the trade.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, number one, I mean, when you're on to start the fire, you know, and you light the match, and to get the flame going and to manage it, clearly you have your drip torch.
Yep. Yeah, and these drip torches cost, you know, roughly around $200 or less. People use lighters.
Yeah.
You know, use their propane, you know, little thing.
Right.
You know, the sky's the limit with this, but these drip torches are so easy to use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're the most efficient one.
Yeah, most efficient for sure. And then obviously water.
Water.
You can't have enough water on site.
Right.
You know, you can have stations where there's water, you know, water bags,
Yeah.
you know, and we have these things called bladder packs, and all it is just a backpack full of water, and it's just a hose that you can squirt.
Yeah.
And it's not that, even though it's a lot of weight, it doesn't feel like it's a lot of weight on you.
Right, it's actually really easy to manage. It's not like a plastic backpack sprayer.
Yeah.
You know, the bag itself is really light, and then once you put 4 or 5 gallons worth of water in it, it's really manageable, and it can spray a stream, it can spray more of a spray. It's really helpful to have on the line. Like Eric says, you really can't have too much water, and we usually have at least, everybody has one of these. We have a mule here, a side-by-side, and a four-wheeler, which we'll usually put. We got a 16-gallon sprayer on there with a hose and a gun, and we'll usually put one on here as well. And right now we're just doing small 1 acre areas, and we've got 16 gallons there. We got a 50-gallon bladder on the back of my truck.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't have too much water. That's for sure when it comes to fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people started using these things. These used to come in a lot, like really popular now.
Yeah.
Is these hand blowers, and they come in all sizes, and depending on how much money you want to spend, they are very efficient.
Yeah.
They're used through the whole process, like making sure the fire line, especially if you're doing woodland burns, you know, just cleaning up. You can create fire line with them, cleaning up fire line.
Right.
If something goes awry, you can really use it as a, you know, water, instead of water, you can use that blower and stuff. And then you have these tools that sometimes it can be a little pain in the butt to, you know, carry around.
Right.
This is called a fire rake. If you get, notice it has all these teeth, and it's good for brush and what have you. You can cut up twigs and all this stuff, roots. And then we have these things called a flapper, and basically I've seen people use it as a flapper, meaning like this,
It's
like a
poorly
flapper.
named, actually.
No, it is. And all you do is just run it on the ground nice and slow, and it smothers the fire.
Right.
You know, enough at least where you can move in with somebody following you with water.
Absolutely.
But there's many tools of the trade.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, you can do a lot of this without a lot of this stuff.
For
you
sure.
know? But always caution on this, especially if you're planning on doing a lot of controlled burning in the future.
Yeah.
You know, again, this stuff does cost money. So just one thing at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and what have you. But everything has a reason.
Absolutely. It can be a lot. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of money sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Safety is an investment. It's a worthwhile investment for sure. But you know, when it comes to controlled burn, and we have all this safety equipment, from the PPE to the gear and equipment that we're managing the fire with, it's absolutely worth that investment versus a fire getting away from you, and you know, you maybe not be able to burn in the future, or you know, heaven forbid it causes some kind of, you know, danger or whatever to the people around you. So it's absolutely a worthwhile investment if you're going to be planning on burning a lot in the future.
Yeah. And always remember that when you're doing this controlled burning stuff, it's just like hunting or anything else. You're representing us.
Right.
You're representing me.
Yeah.
You're representing the deer manager, the wildlife manager. So it's always on the caution side, because when things go wrong, and a bunch of stuff goes wrong, when everybody, you know, if it all adds up, then it punishes everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it could go away. There could be more regulation and what have you through controlled burning. And one key thing too, before we wrap this up, A lot of these tools is, specific to the type of burns you're doing.
Sure.
Do you need a fire rake if you're going to be doing a bunch of warm season grass burns or pollinators? Absolutely not. A flapper would be more specific, more of a tool.
Right.
If you're doing woodland burns, obviously a chainsaw to have on hand is one of those things because of obvious reasons. So per fire, specific is going to be the tools that you'll be using.
Absolutely. When it comes to controlled burn, I mean, the two things, and hopefully we can communicate it well enough, being safe and being prepared.
Yes.
And, and having all this, having the PPE, having the equipment beforehand. If you're safe and you're prepared, the fire is going to go a lot smoother, and it's going to give you peace of mind to enjoy it and let it do its thing, because fire it's an incredible management tool, and it is a little scary. You honestly should be a little afraid of it, but not so much that it keeps you from doing it. And taking these steps, being safe, being prepared, it can ease, it can give you that peace of mind to do it confidently.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.